passion start to rise. The energy filled us.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Viewers, we are now switching our gears to what's going on with fishing. So we are being joined by Mr. Curtis Douglas, and of course he's the president of the All Tobago Fisher Folk Association. Good morning and welcome to you, Mr. Douglas. How are you?
Good morning to you. I'm fine, thank you. Happy New Year to Trinidad and Tobago and the entire Caribbean and the world. So good morning, and it's a pleasure to be here this morning to share some information that of current and present development that is taking place in the fishing industry, also in the energy industry, what is really taking place for Tobago. When everybody is preparing for Carnival, we're preparing to survive.
Certainly.
To survive. So.
And when you talk about Carnival, you have to also talk about Lent, and
yes.
the whole fish conversation comes into play.
Correct.
So how are things right now as in terms of being able to catch fish to supply the market here in Tobago?
Well, the fish supply is a bit down right now. We realize the type of fish we are catching now is not the normal type we're catching. The traditional fish we are accustomed catching throughout the years. We've seen a lot of changes and a lot of new pattern has been developed in terms of the behavior of the fish and stuff like that from the fisher folk, from report and data that we were ascertaining and observing. And what we realize is that most of these patterns stem from lights with the Bajans continue to give the fish lights and they are still in our waters. That conversation still need to be had with a meeting with the Chief Secretary. Well, due to Mr. Charles' funeral, we couldn't have really met because of that situation and Pandy. So we guess going forward, we'll have a tentative date where we're going to meet and discuss and lay out some rules and regulations to benefit Tobago and to ensure that you all have all your staple on the table. Yeah.
Certainly. But what are some of those things? You mentioned that there is different patterns in terms of the fish and even where they are and all of that stuff.
Right.
What are you noticing out there?
What we are noticing is that we are seeing less of the kingfish given the time span in which they're supposed to be harvested, and we are seeing less right in the dolphin and some of the barracudas. We are seeing a depletion in those, and we're also seeing a depletion and a different type of behavior from the flying fish. Normally the flying fish will be netting. They are not netting, they are there, they're not netting, and they're behaving a bit strange. So we are observing all of that, and we are also looking at the size of dolphin that we catch different time of the year. They are depleting. We are still catching some big ones, not few, but not in the amount, in the quantity that we are accustomed normally. And we are also seeing a great decline in the wahoo kingfish and the black eye kingfish more so. So what we were doing, because we were trying to get some black eye kingfish to do some tests abroad to ensure that the fish are not contaminated. So we're working with a team to ensure we send abroad so that they test the fish so that we know what we're consuming is healthy, because we have to be aware of pollution, because we have a lot of pollution. We have a lot of water streams running through. People is not practicing proper safe pollution measures. They just throw things in the drain and obviously end up in the sea. So we want to test what we consume to ensure that the people and my brothers and sisters are consuming healthy staples.
So while we are seeing a decline in the kingfish and so on, are we seeing an increase in any type of other fish around the waters?
Kandace, the only thing that we are seeing increase in Tobago is what we know, which is oil and gas exploration. That is the only increase that we are seeing. In the terms of benefiting the normal individual of Tobagonian, we are not seeing an increase in that, but we are seeing an increase in the presence of oil companies or energy companies collaborating. They are collaborating now to ensure that they drive us down the tube even more. So, it is sad that, these entities are not willing to work with the fishing community, because Tobago are saturated and surrounded with fishing community. Almost every village are a fishing community once you live on the shore. So, and we are seeing a great increase in those kind of behavior, and we also seeing with their behavior with last year November, they had a seismic survey over the coast of outside of Lambo and on the way. Hence the reason why we would have seen some dolphin wash ashore. Right? Remember, I don't know if you could remember some dolphin wash ashore in Storby.
Yes.
And they were saying it's because of the exercise. So what they did, what they did when dolphins most likely are affected, not only kingfish, mammal do be affected. So you find they will behave erratically and run to shore confused because that constant noise drive them mad. So we've been observing this for over 15 years.
And this is like even with the dolphin that you normally would see when you go out around
Yes.
Castara and so on.
Yes, when I'm not talking about mai, I'm talking about the flipper,
the
the dolphin, the bottlenose
yes.
dolphin. Those dolphin, they behave erratic, and if they have waves, they even try to come ashore. So, and hence the reason why we are seeing a decline in the amount of catch, because what it does, what seismic survey does, it runs the fish for at least 3 to 4 or even 5 years up to, so you chase them away. And right now we're supposed to be harvesting with the Orinoco, with the plankton that's coming down and the flying fish feeding on it and the laying and spawning. We're supposed to be in the peak season of flying fish. We're supposed to be peaking. We're supposed to be seeing flying fish on every doorstep of a Tobagonian, right? We're supposed to have flying fish by in droves, because you know a lot of people they see what we're talking about. I don't know if memory serve me right. In 2005, right? I think Royal Castellan KFC would have stopped flying fish on the table. That's because of the Bajan overfishing and the reckless behavior. So the amount that we used to get, we're not getting it anymore. So obviously if you can't provide it, you can't serve it. So these are things, the measures that we need to put in place. We are not saying over and over, we are saying we are not coming here to condemn anybody. We're here to work with and also share, because it's CARICOM. Because just now here we're running boats from Tobago to Trinidad, to Barbados, to Grenada, to probably Ghana. So I mean, it's CARICOM, but it must have rules, and rules must be followed, and we must be able to preserve. If you got a mango tree and every time it be a cut a limb, obviously you're gonna have no branches. And with no branches, that means it will have no fruits. So we have to safeguard and protect and use the science as well, and also the experience and the data to ensure that, you know, Tobagonians are well in the food chain and remain in the food chain. Because there's a growing number of energy. I mean, come on, when you look down at Storby, which we know for years, that the amount of trillion of gas it has. You understand? Trillion of gas, and nobody's talking about, you know, and when we're having discussion and meeting with these oil giants, we are talking, they don't even want to put a little refinery in Tobago, a small refinery in Tobago, so that we could be self-sustainable. No, everything is Trinidad. Nothing is Tobago. And we are saying it is Trinidad and Tobago. And we must be able to work in collaboration with each other, because we are one. And if we are one, we need to be treated as one. Right? So these are some of the issues and some of the strain that we are facing today, right now, in the diaspora of the fishing industry and also with the energy industry. Right?
Certainly. And we saw earlier last week, there was the unveiling of some equipment that was that was just sitting there for 20 years, that was meant to start the live bait industry. Have you guys been able to do anything with that yet? Because I know that, of course, it was a collaboration between TADCO and ADFA, and in particular Plymouth.
Yes.
So what's the latest update on that live bait equipment and being able to get it out into the water and test it out and so on?
All right. Well, I just want the public to understand. Imagine the Japanese would have given us a net to help us in the future for food security, and those that will empower them took that net and send it to Trinidad and have it packed up in a house, in a warehouse for over 20 years. We've been trying to get this thing over 15 years. Mr. Kwashe, Mr. Douglas, we've been fighting to get this net, but finally, I must say, it arrived. It did arrive. And through the assistance of Ms. Pantin, Nigel Tate, and the Chief Secretary. Imagine the Chief Secretary be calling and asking, listen, this belongs to us. Could you send out what belongs to us? And they are denying that. they are denying Tobago what belongs to Tobago. We haven't received the van, we haven't received the power washer, we haven't received all the item, but we say, thank God, we received the net. So we'll take it from there. So in the terms of what we have done thus far, Kandace, in the terms of the net, since the last time we would have unveiled the receiving the nets in Tobago, tomorrow, which is Wednesday, we are going to go thoroughly through the net to ensure there is no damages, and any damages, any repairs, we're going to do that. So that is a collaboration with TATCO, Mr. Alfred, and also Plymouth, and also ATFA. So Mr. Koshi from ATFA and everybody will be there. So we'll go through it, see the operation, because Mr. Koshi know the ins and outs of the net, the operations of the net, the years of the net. Mr. Roberts, Frederick Roberts from Belgarden, who was part of initiating, making the net. And we also have a book, we also have a guide to guide us how to set the net, and to, in case we should get a little bit of lapse through memory, set the net, and hoping within the next couple of years we could be able to have a next net like that to Japan. So we also planning a trip to Japan to ensure to build back that relationship, because when you give somebody something, you expect them to use it, and when they don't use it, obviously that relation, they are hurting your heart, they're breaking your feelings. So we now have to try to mend back that sort of relationship and collaboration with outside entity, which is the Japanese population and government, to ensure that we could build, because today could be set net, tomorrow we don't know what, and we must use their technology in order to safeguard and to protect our food security. So we are grateful to them, and we are grateful that we have the set net, and we are grateful to TATCO and to ATFA to ensure that we could now be able to harbor and create a sense of bait and a sense of financial forex for Tobago, right? Because when you're paying for the bait, you pay for the bait in US. But the local guys and they who come with a little pirog and one little thing, TT, we'll charge TT. But all those longliners who come in, they have to pay in US. Some Trinidad from up the islands who come in to collect bait, we pay in US, you make a call, we set up the system, and we also have a database collection, so we know what quantum of bait comes out, so we could now have a scientific valuation of what our fish stock on the west coast, east-west coast are, so that we could be able to treat with it in a respectable manner.
Is this one of the reasons why we haven't seen any major trust towards longline fishing? Is it because that getting the bait, I mean, you will have to buy it from foreign places? Is that one of the reasons why that more people have not taken up the opportunity to invest into long bait fishing? Longline fishing.
There are three major reasons why we haven't taken up a lot of people haven't took the opportunity. The first one is funding. These boats are very expensive, right? They are very expensive, right, to purchase. And Tobagonians are not that wealthy as Trinidadians. We'll just take out 10 million and buy a boat and etc. Right? We have to go through ADB Bank, and ADB Bank is not really sustainable in that form to really assist due to the jargons and how they operate. Right? Secondly, yes, the baiting industry is one of the major things. So because when you have the boat, you have to get bait, and to go to Grenada, you have to go to Grenada and up the islands, not even the island, Grenada for bait, right? And then to come back, right? So that is the second part. The third issue or major issue we have is a port. That docking facilities, whereby we dock, you pull up and you offload, and somebody take your catch and export your fish. We don't have that facility. The only jetty we have, we try to upgrade Plymouth, right? And they are trying now to upgrade Palatavir, and you see Charlottesville as it's situated, as it starts. All of these ports need upgrading, but we need a separate and apart port, so that when we dock, you could record, you could catch the data, how much tuna, how much kingfish. So we have a scientific data, so we collect. So one place, so you dock, you pay a rent to dock, you get your water, you get your ice, you get your fluid, and you prepare to go to your journey once more. So those are one of the main three issues that surrounding reason why a lot of Tobagonian hasn't really embarked in that. Because when you're paying for a 150, you're paying something like $125,000, $140,000 for an engine. I haven't talked about the boat, which is cost about $80,000, $85,000, right? And you know, as a poor man, you go to the bank, they limit how much money that you would get. But a car they would give you, right? But to invest, right? They sort of like stipulate or measure you, right? So that is one of the reasons why. And for this to embark, we have to have more cooperation, more help from other financial institutions to embark in this. And these, they will not want to invest when when you do buy a boat, you have to go to dock in Trinidad. That means your crew have to be in Trinidad. That means you have to move to Trinidad. So we want something to be able to dock in Tobago, to come to the port in Tobago, so that we have free access. I say, honey, I'm going to sea for 2 weeks now. So you just take your car, she drop you off with your gears, you jump on your ship by the port, by the designated port, you get all the clearance you need to get, and you go out to work and come back. And you could also be tracked by phone or by a computer. So this is the way forward.
Yes.
This is the way forward. But this is part of the reason why, Kandace, as I explained, why Tobagonians hasn't embarked in it, because it's high cost. This is not a pirogue, right? It's a long line I'm talking about, from here to Charlottesville in lines, right? Length, right? In clips, running from here to Charlottesville. So when you pull that, you have your winch pulling that, and when you pull, you see the tuners and stuff like that. So it's a different type of fishing compared to when we run out for 4 hours or 8 hours, or run 40 miles and come back in the night. You leave here 5 o'clock in the morning, you come home 10 o'clock in the night. We are talking about, we leave here on Monday and come home back next week Tuesday, or next week Friday, or next week Saturday. 2 weeks, 3 weeks at sea. And when we're coming back here, with tons of tuna and dolphin and other bycatch.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much, Mr. Douglas. We are out of time for this morning conversation, but of course, you know, we are going to continue connecting with you as we have always done in the past couple of years. All right.
Thank you for having me, Kandace. And you know, I just want to say, you know, I want Tobagonians to be aware. Tobagonians, we have to unite. We have to come together. We need to put aside all our differences and come together to build a better Tobago, but we must be able to do it together. We need to stop fighting and work together. We need to build the fishing industry. We need to build our economy. We need to build our education system where we can sell our education. We need to educate our people on our island that basically would provide for us and our children and our children's future. We need to work together and put aside that, but we only could do it together, from agriculture to fishing, to economics, to everything, but we need to work together.
Thank you so much, Mr. Douglas. And viewers, we're going to go for a quick break, so please don't go anywhere.
Let's go, go.